incredible realization about some sexual shame around my first intimate relationship that I had no idea was still there. I thought that I had like processed this, cleaned it up, put it away, ancient history. Um, and the way that it came up in the workshop was fascinating. Andrew was having us, each of us, move through the archetypes of sweetness, I think, and then of innocence. And as we were watching the video of me going through innocence, at first it felt like I was like walking through like a new world. Like there was lots of like wonder and like looking around, and it I think it did feel like innocence. But then at a certain point I started like kind of engaging my hands, and it started to feel almost um like enchantressy, which is something that I go into sometimes in certain movements. So that started happening. And then there was just this kind of subtle, like my hips started to like kind of move like this. And all of a sudden it went from this like kind of like innocent child full of wonder to it felt like this kind of enchantress. It felt kind of a little manipulative. Um, and we're watching this, and all of a sudden I just felt like I wanted to cry, and I didn't even know why at first, and then I went into it, and it was like, oh my God, this feels like the like the loss of innocence going into like my first intimate experiences, and feeling like I wasn't quite ready to have them, but was trying to like be like I wasn't like totally not ready, but part of me was still like a young girl. Um, and so and then there so then and then I also had a bit of an inner conflict that I saw about like wanting it, desiring it, but also not being ready for it. And so all of this was coming out, and I had a huge just like release, and was able to kind of move it out of my body. But that was incredible because I had no idea that that was still within me. And it was and it was very powerful. And there was there was lots of feelings of shame and like conflict about wanting it, not wanting it. Um, and then it also was highlighting another kind of um, technique that I've been realizing I do with everything, is thinking that I have handled something or that I'm fine or I'm okay, but I'm actually just rationalizing, justifying, explaining, understanding it, and not actually feeling it, um, or letting myself feel it. So that was one little piece of it of the workshop. Yeah, I had lots of wanting to do it right, lots of not wanting to get it wrong. Um, Lots of this energy running, which was super frustrating for me and for the group. Um, and so, yeah, just many more, just examples of seeing how different ways that I do that all over the place in my life.
It's so beautiful to be a part of this group and um, do these in-depth things that we did during the life map. For me, I went through and saw more and more layers of how I don't um, think I'm worthy enough for, the beauty around me. Um, and it's so layered that I keep penetrating different layers with Andrew, like in the private um, intensive I did. And then here again, it's just like, it's deep. So learning um, that it is just, I, I want to keep going into the layers and penetrating them. Um, and this one thing I've been wanting to take a trip overseas because I've never been overseas. And I have a lot of external conflict with that as far as my family goes. So I already have a lot of unworthiness, but then on top of it, I have that external stuff saying, don't do this. And so there's a lot of layers to work through on moving through that, and then just feeling worthy. And I I feel that once I get to that place, life, and I do at some days I feel it, like I do feel worthy, and then everything around me feels worthy, and then my life is just so much richer and beautiful, and I'm involved and I'm engaged. And so I'm kind of right in between. I feel some days, because some days I'm just not there, but I can feel I'm moving in that direction, and it feels really good.
A number of things last weekend. One being how much I share with Hannah, some similarities in how we deal with things, the like not wanting to do things wrong, wanting to get things right. Also, kind of like trying to manipulate the situation. Like there was some point Andrew was working with me and he was pushing me a little bit or something. And I think I began to like squirm inside and just after a few minutes, I was aware of how I was trying to like control things by these manipulations of like being cute or clever, trying to be funny, or just, deflecting a little, this thing kind of running, and I became aware of it. And it happened once before in another workshop with Elaine, but this was a lot better, a lot more obvious to me, more stronger. Um, what was cool, like after moved on for me, and then I think I went to Hannah, and then I was like sitting there reflecting this thing I had been doing, and I looked at Elaine, and I looked at Jonathan, and I looked at Elias, and I'm like, look at these people, they don't do this shit. It's like when Andrew calls on them, they just answer the best they can and go, don't try to push back. They kind of surrender and go with it. And it really helped me to see these models, people modeling, an
Reference
example,
points. Yeah.
reference points. Yeah. So that helped me. And the other big thing was I was allowed the time and the support and the guidance to process some family trauma, I guess, from like when I was 11, 12 years old or whatever, when the divorce occurred and the family kind of fell apart, and how it kind of messed me up for a long time, and some of the things that took place during that time. And yeah, it was just really helped. I was helped to process that, and I got feedback that it really was pretty messed up, and it was sad and kind of tragic. And it was good for me to hear that, like that. Yeah, that really was fucked up. It's worth processing and grieving, and that
Yeah.
was
That
very
you're
helpful.
worth that you're worth processing grieving. Yeah.
So yeah, that was good.
You feel better coming out of part two than part one.
Yes.
Good.